We had a client that we worked with, and she was really struggling with profitability. She kept raising tuition. She actually did 3 tuition increases within a 15-month cycle, and she still could not catch up. So I helped her work with our 6 money leaks in schools, and she only used 3 of the 6 money leaks and cut her expenses by 50%. 50. She did not fire anyone. She did not slash any of her programs, and she did not work more hours. Again, the 6 money leaks are not hacks or spreadsheets. These are patterns. They are small decisions that feel so normal that your school does, but they quietly drain your school's profit. So if you've ever wondered why you're working so hard, but still not seeing the return, this is your first step to clarity. Click the link in the show notes and find out what it's actually costing you. Welcome to the Schools of Excellence podcast, where we have conversations about education, leadership, and building a school of excellence. The goal on this show is to bring you clarity, up-level your mindset, and give you practical strategies and inspiration so you can show up with confidence and trust your decision-making. I'm Chani Wolshansky. I'm a mom of 4 under 10, a former New Yorker, and been in the early childhood field my entire life. And I'm so grateful that you've joined me for this conversation. I am deeply excited and also really inspired by today's conversation with one of our members, Ashriel Huber. So Ashriel is the executive director at A Child's Touch, which is a preschool in Thornton, Colorado. And she and I met in a super fun way at a conference a long time ago, back in December of 2022. And we met at a cocktail bar when she had complimented my hair. And then we got into a long conversation, which turned into her really just appreciating everything that we were talking about in Schools of Excellence and eventually joining the program. So this is a super fun conversation, a lot of laughs, a lot of insight, and a lot of raw truth, really speaking to the truth and honesty of her experience and her journey as a school leader. Some of the biggest takeaways that she's had over the last couple months and some of the biggest insights from today's conversation is how Ashriel has really been able to utilize the tools and the resources for the different seasons of her school, the staff meetings, the parent-teacher conferences, just all these different frameworks that she's been utilizing, the 6 performance keys, the goal setting for staff room management, for up-leveling her administrative team. She's had growth in so many different areas. You'll get to listen to how her accountant actually noticed her massive shift inside of herself. So all in all, this was just a great conversation that's really inspiring and had me pausing at many different moments because I just had that moments of like, wow, this is incredible. So I hope you enjoyed today's conversation with Ashriel. So when did you first join Owners HQ? Do you remember what month that was in and like what was going on at that time?
Oh, I do. It was the month of December. It was early on. I was at a shift conference. Mm-hmm. You know, I noticed your hair, all those things snowballed, and end of the conference, there I was. I'm part of the family.
Yes. So I remember we were standing in that very crowded, very cold for me, cocktail room. And then you were standing next to another mutual friend of ours who was a member actually in the program at the time. And you were commenting on my hair. And so we had a whole conversation about that and earplugs and all the things. Then we ended up chatting with your husband as well. And your mom, we had a brief conversation. I was walking you through the pyramid of excellence on a napkin. So I have very distinct memories of our initial conversation that we had together. So when we first got together and we were talking about work-life harmony and how many hours you're working and all of that. Tell me a little bit about what was going on at that time. How many hours were you working? What was happening with family? Like, why were you excited about joining this program?
I was really excited because I felt stuck. I am a second generation legacy owner, whatever you want to put that at, whatever stamp you want to put on that. But for me, I felt stuck. I was down in the office. I wasn't really sure what I should be doing, what my position was. So I got some clarification that trip of kind of what my role was moving forward. So that was great. But then it's kind of like, okay, how do I do this? Mm-hmm. And how do I do it well? Because, that is a legacy. I want to go on and, make the founders proud, and have this be an incredible center where we can minister to more and more children and staff. So it felt like a lot. And we had some people leaving an admin who were key people. So it kind of felt overwhelming. Like, what are we going to do? How are we going to approach this? So many things in the center were going well, but there was also so many things that needed attention and processes and just structures. And it needed someone to come in and be like, okay, we're doing this and this is how we're going to do it. And I wasn't there yet. So at the conference, it was kind of like, I had already in my head had this map. It was like, okay, here's Ash. And yep, she's going to be sitting in this little office forever. And she's going to be doing the same thing forever. And it's going to always just go okay. And there we've got the trajectory. And then I got there and it felt like this mindset moment. It was kind of like, okay, I'm moving offices. I'm going a different direction. I'm not doing the day-to-day stuff. I'm not focusing on this. There are other things I need to be working on that nobody else can do. And that was kind of like that aha, wake up moment. Like you were looking at me in the eyes and you're like, Ash, okay, you're doing jobs that, maybe somebody who's making this amount an hour or this amount an hour would be doing. And no one's doing this that, costs this amount an hour. So that's just getting left there. So I'm going, oh, yeah, that makes a lot of sense. So for me, it was just that very freeing experience of I don't have to stay in the stuck. There are ways to get out of it and move forward. And maybe it doesn't always go as fast as I want or look how I want it, but it's progression and it's going one step farther. And that was huge. And that was just that big mindset shift of just, it doesn't have to look like this. I love that.
Yes. I remember the way that your body shifted when you started to talk about the literacy program and you started to talk about these big dreams and ambitions that you had for the center. And when you spoke about it, like your whole face lit up, but there was also this like slight pain in the back end of like, is this ever going to be a reality? Is this something that I can ever even tackle? So I remember that conversation as, again, like you were saying, just being that freeing moment for you to see that there's, other things that you could look at, other opportunities. So when you look at your biggest challenges of time, because again, in foundations, one of the first things that we work on inside of the program is the mindset, the time, and the culture. So what did your time look like when you first joined? And tell us a little bit about what your time looks like now. But first, what it looked like then.
Okay, so little caveat there. It is still in transition. I'm still working on finding that balance. It was very much, we were, kind of felt like we were living at the center. We still have 2 littles, so they're gracious little ones. They hang out with us. But it was kind of like, school ends at 6, but we're there till 6:30 every night, 6:45, taking our crew, headed home. And I always felt like I had to give more. I had to show all the staff there. Yep, I'm there when we open. I'm there when we close. I am here. You can count on that. I felt like that had to be me. And getting into a new space and going through the schools of excellence, I was like, you know what? It doesn't have to be me. In fact, it really shouldn't be me. And that was really huge to learn and come away with, is that my time has to look a little different. So now I've got mornings where, on Mondays when we have the coaching calls, I'll stay at home and do the coaching call and then go into work after. And I'm like, oh, this is a treat. This is amazing. And it just kind of helps me start the day off how I want it to start off. And still working on my endings, but I will say the small progression I've made there is, maybe at like 5:30, 5:45, I'll start winding down and like wrapping up and getting stuff ready and prepared for the next day. So that way it's kind of like my cue, like I'm done. I'd like to be, a little better in that area, but progress.
I love that. I love that. And I love that you recognize that there was more to life than staying in the center till 6:30. And while your kids were, are accommodating to it and they're fine with it, eventually they're not going to be, right? They soon start to grow into, and they have after school activities. They're going to want this and you guys want to travel more. So there's all these other dreams and goals and we can't hit them unless we start to really plant those seeds and that trajectory moving forward. So I love that you started to put your stake in the ground when it comes to that. Tell me a little bit about the limiting beliefs. I know that that's always a big shift that happens. We have the 6 limiting beliefs training that are the common 6 beliefs that most owners and operators, directors believe about themselves. Which one was true for you at the time? And what are you, I guess, slowly trying to dismantle throughout your time in the program?
I think out of all the limiting beliefs, kind of the one that maybe came up, it's probably very typical for many people. It's just that I wasn't enough. They talk about not smart enough, not XYZ enough, all of those things, but just that I wouldn't be enough to fill that role and do it in a way that just commanded excellence and that really met people where they were at, that made a difference in a tangible way. So it's kind of like, I don't know if I could do this. Like, you have that imposter syndrome where you go, maybe I don't have it. I'm not smart enough. But then it's that stepping back to realize if I'm thinking that is a limiting belief. I'm saying that I am not good enough or smart enough, then you know what? I'm not going to be good enough. I'm not going to be smart enough because I put my limits there. And then I have to take that away and I have to say, you know what? I'm not there yet. but I will get there. So maybe I'm not the most organized person yet, but I am making steps to get to that point. I may not have the best processes yet, but I can make steps. And then it was really empowering for me to sit back and go, okay, you know what, Ash? Sure, you're not the youngest person in the room, but you're not circling the drain or anything like that. So to keep learning, you have to keep learning. Every person that came before me with like their super smart little hats on and, walking with their little swagger, they went through this. They had to learn the hard way. They had to go through the hard.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, Ash, you can get there. You can. You just need to do your work. And it doesn't mean you're not good, you're not strong enough, you're not yada, yada, yada. I just need to buckle down and do the work, which means like those habits of just getting into the continual play of it and not looking up to see what people are saying. Oh, do you like it? No, it doesn't really matter. I just keep going.
I love that, right? Because that's where real confidence comes from. Confidence comes from keeping your head down, doing the work, rewarding yourself with feedback, not constantly double checking, does everyone like me? So you've also let go of so many people pleasing tendencies and all of these things that just cripple us slowly but surely, right? It's a process. Everything is a process in that way. So I know that when you first joined, one of the first action steps that we have is to start with gratitude and writing those cards and starting to connect with staff. Tell us a little bit about your experience as you started to work through the gratitude matrix.
I think the gratitude matrix, the big thing it does is it just makes it a priority. It just says, I think we all know, of course, you have to extend gratitude. You have to do yada, yada. We can go into the whole science of, we know that gratitude changes your brain when you express it and you do all that stuff. And it's amazing. But at the end of the day, we don't make time for it. So it's great to have all that knowledge without action. So that made me do it. I could sit back for years and say, yeah, I know I should write cards and do the things, but I don't. So that was kind of like, you know what? You know what to do and you're not doing it. Put it on the calendar, make it happen. And it's been fantastic because even though it hasn't been perfect, it has been better than it was. And it's been on the schedule and it starts to happen. And I even for payroll, when a new staff member starts, I've got a whole thing of new staff cards and I got these little kind of cheesy keychains, but that says, you make a difference.
Oh, cute.
And so little thing, I'm like, welcome to the team. I go, and it's something that when I go get to meet them, I get to go hand it to them. It's that exchange, that oxycodone. We're like, hey, here you go.
Yes.
And they're like,
Yes.
oh my gosh.
Yes.
So it makes a huge difference. And it's such a small part of my day. But so I do have to thank you guys for, taking the knowledge that we all have and being like the little kick in the butt, just do it. Put it on your calendar and make it happen.
I love that. I love how you embrace the foundations, like the mindset, the time, and the gratitude is such a core component of how you operate in your day, because it is so much about habits, right? So much of any part of success is the consistency, doing it habitually, doing it in the right routine, the right rituals associated with it. So I would love to hear, do you feel any difference in the culture now that it has become something that's more habitual and something that you're more consistent with?
Okay, that's kind of a funny one because it's balanced by two things. So yeah, I think they are absolutely noticing the gratitude, and I think they're responding to it in a really positive way. On the other hand, we are holding them accountable for a few more things as we move forward in the program. So it's kind of like that balance. Oh, they're noticing, and I can't do that, and oh yeah, they like me for the things I'm doing well. So
good. No, but also again, as you've embraced accountability, it's a lot less scary to hold people accountable when you have emotional, bank with them.
Yes.
Tell us about that.
Okay, that one's okay. Yes, when you have that emotional bank, when you already have that tie, it's easier to come alongside and be like, hey, I just wanted to let you know that, your little one's doing this over here. So make sure when you're standing in the room, turn your body towards them so you can, scan the room.
Mm-hmm.
Easier to just jump in and just say that quickly instead of like, oh, I don't really know this person. We don't have this relationship, but I'm going in and being like, well, you're kind of sucking at your job. I just need you to face that direction. The conversation, which is huge for me.
Yes.
And I will say this is key for emotional resiliency. I'm going to be 100% honest with you. I was that girl maybe a few years ago that if something really dramatic happened, especially with someone that I was close relationally with at the center, it would pull me down. Mm-hmm. I would tank because I'm a little more empathetic than I would like in life. Let's try and hide a little bit, but the empathy piece would just tank me. And so right now we have an administrator who's maybe should not be an administrator. We're still sussing that out as we will. Mm-hmm. She was also a very close friend. So in my journey, it's kind of like, I've been okay because I've been able to separate the fact that relationally I care for this individual, but professionally she's not doing what she needs to be doing within the admin team and she's hurting the culture and she doesn't understand that.
Yes.
But coming home thinking about it. It's not racing through my mind. I'm like, oh my gosh, my staff member, I love her so much. I can't believe we're doing this. But no, this is what needs to be done because this is being kind. As you like to say, it's being kind, not nice.
Yes, yes. It's so interesting because we look at these things as small things, but when you are not ruminating over a teacher when you come home, that is a different quality of life. That is a different marriage. You are a different parent. Like, you're a different person when you don't carry all that emotional banking, all that emotional drama with you. I remember when I first, this is such a side point, but it's perfect to tell the story right here. I don't know if I've ever told this publicly. So when I first started working with clients one-on-one, I remember getting on the phone with a couple because they worked in the school together. And I asked her husband, like, what's your biggest complaint? And he's like, I feel like the teachers are always in my bedroom. Like, I feel like every time, like, we go to sleep, like, all the teachers are here. Like, my wife just talks about everything. And like, all the teachers are in the bedroom. And so I was just like laughing. And then like a couple months later, as we started to work on accountability, he sent me a text message one night. He's like, thanks for kicking all the teachers out of my bed. And I'm like, you're welcome.
Glad I could help.
So, I know, glad I can help. But it's perfect. Just to context here, what you were saying is that you don't bring all the drama home. And it does make a difference. It really does. And our quality of life and our mental acuity impacts the business the next day. It really, really does. So I love that for you. Okay. So tell me a little bit about your experience as you have started to do one-on-ones with staff and getting to know them better. Tell us a little bit about that experience.
Okay, well, then that one we'd have to rewind real quick to say that we are a large center. So one-on-ones for me are like Everest. I will never have one-on-ones with my entire staff. It just will not happen. We tried to come at it from different approaches, not there. But our workaround of what we're going to do, and I've already started doing it with my managers. So we opened up some manager positions because that was part of my delegation, things that I can't do anymore that still need to be done, but someone can do it better. So with our manager positions, that's been helpful. But then they come up and they'll do like a one-on-one a month. So we'll just go over what their job responsibilities were. What have they fixed? What have they worked on? What's going well? Anything that I need to know about? All of those things we just cover. That's been great for the accountability piece. And I feel like I've gotten to know them better. But I do want to change the approach a little bit. So we're coming back into school year. Our team leads just applied. We're going to send out the information. Yes, you made it. Next week, all that fun stuff. But I want to do, and I've already put it in their job description, monthly one-on-ones with my team leads. So
beautiful.
I'm very excited to and I'll explain to them, this is going to look like kind of a similar process every time. We want to end it with these different questions. But this is our time for us to really kind of get to know each other and also to see what's going well, what's not going well, and how we can help you better in your job.
I love that. I love that. Like, I think this is so great, and such a great, for anyone who's listening here, is so much of the content that we teach inside of the Schools of Excellence in the program, it's not meant to be followed exactly to the T. It's there as a bouncing board for, okay, this is an important concept that I want to bring into my center. How am I going to make this work for me? With my, infrastructure, with the way my business is set up, how can I make this work? So I love that you took the time to make this your own, took the time to figure out, how am I going to make this work for me, and not feeling constrained with, well, I can't do it exactly how Khani presented it, so that's out with the wind, and I'm never going to do that. So it just really shows on your own emotional maturity, your own intelligence, and how you understand how to use training and content to make your school a school of excellence. So I so appreciate the way you use that.
Gosh, I'm just going to take that compliment and run with it.
Yes.
And I'm excited. I'm hoping our team leads, and again, that conversation will come around with them, but maybe they will start moving on when they have time to have one-on-ones with their staff to kind of perpetuate that cycle, and we'll just all connect.
Yes, absolutely. And then, I'll definitely, after this conversation, I want you to dig into like culture of promotion and some of the content that we have on like how to have those conversations with staff, so we could start planting seeds for who's ready for more responsibility, who's ready for that next level growth, so that we're tracking that. Because some people need the invitation, but only months later are they ready for like, that thing that we spoke about like 6 months ago, I think we're ready for that, right? So how to start planting those seeds in advance. So I'm going to definitely get that to you. Okay, let's talk about delegation, the big monster. So when you first heard of the concept that we talk a lot about delegating, the delegation dip, what were your hesitations about delegating? What were your hesitations about just letting certain things go? And how has that been feeling since?
I think we can jump on the same bandwagon as everyone's saying they're not going to do it as well, or it's not going to look how I want it to look. And that's always the hard part. Our little micromanaging brains, we're like, no, I can do it better. But for me, it was getting to the point of, okay, maybe I can do it better, but honestly, I can't. Because if I start doing this and this and this and this and this and this, I am just spreading so thin that really, let's say maybe I'm amazing at this one thing, but I'm spread so thin by the time I get to it, I'm already against doing it because I don't want to be there. I don't want to do it. And I'm not putting in the time I need to because I don't have it. So I just don't do it. So even though I feel like I'm really better at it, I'm not, because if I kind of hold all those things, I've noticed that things start to drop, or the ones that I'm holding start to look a little squidgy. I don't really want to hold them anymore. So better to pass them along. So for me, it's scary still. There's certain ones that I still struggle with more than others. And for me, it's the how to delegate well. So I'm learning, and I'll give you some lovely kudos, because, I just sat with my new media manager yesterday, and I was like, you know what? I know for delegating, I need to explain everything. I need to give more information. I need to have feedback. I need check-ins. I was like, okay, I can do this. So I typed up my whole little sheet of paper. We sat down together. I gave her my little gift with my scripture. I was like, you just take this and run with it. But then we met and all the expectations, and I was like, oh, that went so good. She went off like running. She's like, yes, I can do this. She felt empowered. And I was like, oh, thank you, Jesus. Like, it was a great moment. So it's good.
I love it. Again, the pattern that I'm noticing with you, Ashriel, is just how you take the information and make it make sense for where you need it to make sense. Like using the sheet, using the delegation. Like you're a great consumer of the content and the program, and using it to your benefit. So I know I've said that, but I said it again. So
you're so as long as you find the mix and match, and I put things here and
exactly
that. So I'm thankful for that.
Make it make sense for you. So there's so many different aspects of the program, right? There's coaching, there's training, there's community, there's strategic advisory, there's, our guest advisory board, there's events. We'll talk about the event in a minute. There's all these different things. I would love to hear from you. What are some of the aspects of the program that you're most enjoying, and that you utilize the most?
For me, I'm kind of like, when I want it now. So I tend to find myself using a lot of the actual online program portion. Yeah. If you look through my thing, I've gone through every single, course. I haven't finished most of them, but I've gone through them because I'm like, oh, I need to focus on this today. So I'm very much, if I'm focusing and this is my intent, my purpose today, surround myself with content that I can just consume that will help me in that moment. So I will do that with the schools of excellence. I'll go like, oh, you know what? We've got staff meetings that are coming up for school year. I need to train the staff on this. I'm going to go through that scroll and find that section, start training on that, getting the worksheets on that. And then I roll and go out with that one. So I love the online piece, just being able to go, what do I need to work on today? Where am I putting my attention? I can go find support material that directly speaks to what I need. And that's huge, because otherwise that means I'm looking through books, I'm looking through, online sites, but all of it's right there specifically towards what I need, and it's ready to roll out and put into play. Okay. And the coaching, I love the Monday ones because makes me have a little habit, and I just get to sit down and create that little moment for myself, which I love. So I love Monday ones on that one. It kind of just gets me in that moment, and it's really beautiful because there's another podcaster, and she does a weekly newsletter. So I use that and I send that out to my staff so they get their own Mindset Monday, and it just kind of ripples. The coaching I tend to struggle finding the times to get on at the right times. I don't know if it's the Mountain Standard or me just not in the emphasis that I need to, but sometimes I struggle to get on the coaching calls as much as I'd like to. Like I said, I'm on that instant moment. So when I get on them, I really enjoy them. And I really enjoy going through the podcast and finding all the trainings that are so purposed towards very specific things.
I love that. And it's so interesting because the program has so many different elements, right? Like you were saying, the training, there's coaching, there's community, there's the strategic advisor on Monday. And the reason we have so much is because different people learn in different ways, consume content in different ways. And in different seasons, you're going to want different things. And so right now you're in a season where the training is the most valuable thing for you. And that's what you're digging in and consuming the most. And then you might, find yourself in a future season where the coaching is going to be the most valuable component for you, where you're going to want to get every, ounce of coaching in it. And just respecting and honoring where you are and what you need, and knowing that the program can offer you, depending on where you are, like it has what it needs for you. That's what gives the respite of being part of community. So I love that for you. Tell us about your experience at the event. Was that your first event? I know you've been to the Shift Conference, so you've been to other childcare events before, but would love to hear your experience of, why you decided to come to the event. And, how did that impact your experience in the program and your results?
Okay, my takeaway might have been different than some people, because when I went there, the reason I wanted to go, and I was so excited for it too, I wanted to get better. I wanted to grow. I was so excited to be surrounded by people that were on the same path as I was, because when you get into that growth mindset and you just want to learn as much as you can and then put it into practice, you want to be surrounded by people like that, because you're all going towards the same thing. And when you fail, you're like, oh, we failed miserably together. And then when we succeed, we hold hands, we go forward. It's great. And I loved being surrounded by that. And I also love being surrounded by these amazing women. It was mostly women, I'm just going to say.
Yeah, it was one man.
Women, hearts, but not just these hearts, but this competency of like, we want to show up as this big boss lady and have this beautiful life that we've envisioned. And I just loved that whole dynamic, because when I got there, I thought, you know what? It was that same unstuck moment. I don't have to be stuck in the same girl who spent, like a decade going to the same, I'm not going to say their name out loud, but certain conferences where I learned how to do my call and respond. I learned how to do XYZ. It was great for that season. But this felt like a new season of conferences where I have a different expectation and I want to come away with something different. So when I walked away from that conference, I had some really cool tools to, throw in my toolbox, bling them out. It was great. But more than that, I walked away saying, I feel different. I feel like a leader. I feel like someone who is supposed to be there, who is going towards something, and I'm not in it alone. And I'm excited because we can change things. When you get that many people together, you can change the landscape of something. And ECE needs its landscape changed. It's got some issues. It's got some kinks. But I was so empowered and excited and hopeful when I looked at these women, when I say, there's a better way to reach kids. There's a better way to run a business. There's a better way to reach, the children throughout the entire, country. But it doesn't happen unless we get people all together in a group who can recognize the same thing, that say, hey, we can do it better. Let's learn, let's grow together. And then let's come back and see how it went and see how we can step up the next time. And I just loved it. I came home and I couldn't really tell many people because they wouldn't quite get it, but I got it. And I was like, I told my bestie, I was like, I just felt like a little bit different person when I walked away, and I liked it.
I have chills, and I just want to respect the moment of just how that's the intention of our events, is so much less of the content, even though I know everyone wants to walk away with, tangible stuff, but I want people to feel different. I want you to walk away with something, because then what you do with that feeling, that's 50 different people changing 50 different things in the industry, because everyone's walking away with a different experience of how they shifted. And that's the ripple effect. That is powerful transformation. So thank you for that. I accept and receive that. What surprised you most so far in being in the program? I know sometimes we come into a program with certain expectations, certain things that we want, but then we kind of have these interesting surprises of oh, well, that was interesting that, that happened. So, and what were those for you?
I would say it's the people, it's the girls. I don't think I was expecting anything with this program that I would be maybe building connections with somebody else, or, maybe forming any sort of relationship, even though it's more professional at this time. But the conference was amazing. I walked away from those girls, the storytelling table. That was the one that really just solidified it. I was like, we should probably all get matching bracelets, not just the necklaces, and come up with a chant, because we are all now besties. So that was a great program. You should probably do that for all of your events. Just saying. It was great. So I think I was just surprised that I would make some connections with actual people. And form those bonds that now it feels like, okay, when I go to this, upcoming conference, there might be some girls that I'm like, oh, I haven't seen you. Tell me about your center. Tell me how this went that we chatted about. Tell me about this. I'm excited to see other people within the industry and really form relationships because, they always talk about, you're the summation of the 5 people you spend the time the most with. It's like, why not gather more people in our little network pocket that are fabulous to be around, that help you grow and help you look up instead of like look down. And so that's what I really was surprised at. I didn't think I'd find, some people to make me feel a little less lonely in my pocket. So
I love that. I love that. Have you seen any impact on other people in your life as a result of being in the program? Have you seen impact just on the leadership team, in your own personal relationships, in your friendships? I know that I started to ask this question a lot because it came up a lot as what people were surprised about, of how being in the program impacted their financials or impacted their marriage or impacted their relationship with their parents. So I'm just curious, have you seen it impact other roles in your life or other roles in the business?
In certain areas, I'll be honest, at the center, it's not like we have a big banner that says Schools of Excellence and, we talk about it every day, part of vernacular or anything. But with admin team, they're very much aware of it. But, for them, they would not maybe necessarily say, oh, what a warm welcome for this new program. I think for them, it's more like, oh no, it's a new program. What does that mean for me? This means change. Change is uncomfortable. Okay, my role may not look like. So they have been open, but hesitant because they know it means change. So I have one side of like admin that's like, oh Lordy, no, we're good. We've got our bedroom slippers on. We do not need to change anything. Like, let's leave it status quo. And then I have the other side that's like, okay, yeah, let's do something. We know it'll be a little uncomfortable, but let's change. Like, yeah, let's focus on this. So it's kind of like bridging that a little bit. So I wouldn't say it was like positively ushered in, but it's necessary. So not everything that is necessary feels good. But I have a girl on the admin team who's come on. I've told you a little bit about her. She's amazing. But she's very closely within the Schools of Excellence. So she loves it. Like, she and I worked through, we did the 6 keys. We adore it. That has made life so much easier. It's been great. So it's been interesting on the work end. At the home end, I think my husband likes that there's somebody else aside from him that I can ask questions to, and he's not, the main source of my ponderings. So that's probably lovely for him.
Yes.
I think the best way I can put it is I went to go meet our accountant, and she works with us in payroll for certain things sometimes. And I went there and I went to go sit and do my things. And she goes, she looked at me just for a moment. She goes, you just seem different. And I said, oh, tell me about that. And she goes, I don't know, you seem like you're ready to lead. And I said, okay, well, that says so much to me. So I think maybe people are noticing that I feel a little bit more confident and a little bit more like, yeah, this is what we're doing and I'm ready.
Isn't that amazing when an accountant who we don't see so often, but then when we do see them, they notice the shift in us? Because when we're more confident, we look different. Our face changes, our body changes, like we show up differently. So I love that someone else noticed that, right? Because that's a huge, huge shift. Let's go back to the 6 performance keys. Tell us about how you're implementing that and how that's working. Even if you're just getting started, we'd just love to hear where you're holding with that.
Oh, this one I've got. So what we started a couple years ago is we have tri-vals. So we basically, let's say for ease of all of it, January, we meet, we sit down, we identify, okay, we use the 6 performance keys. This is an area they do their own assessment, of course, and then we do ours. And then they'll come saying, okay, we noticed this, we had it this, and this is why we graded you this. So we've noticed this is maybe an area where you need some work. This is an area, man, you're just doing amazing. So we'll talk with them about goals they may have, and then we'll talk about goals we have, and then we'll give them like 3 goals. So for example, our 3 goals that our staff got this round is, one was a nature-based goal. So they have to be creative and find a way to bring nature in, go out for nature. One was play. They need to, throughout the month, invite children to come play and then go invite themselves into children's play, work on how to interact with children. And then one other one. So they'll go through the next 3 months. So February, March, April, and they'll be observed by our supervisor. How's it going? Come alongside, yada, yada. And then for that next month in May, they meet again. Okay, this is what went really well. This is what we noticed. Yes, you met your goals, and then you get your raise. It's a 50-cent raise if they met their tri-val goals and they were doing all the 6 keys. So if you're not working in the performance keys and meeting a certain level, then the raise is not there. You have to show up. Let's put it that way. Just get to the
I love it. So you're really using it as not just for them to do better, you're using it as a performance metric, as a pay scale, as raises. So that's fantastic. And Sheila and a couple of other members have done that as well. They've really used, Sheila has a whole she actually did this while we were at the Shift conference. She presented it live. So definitely go check it out. It's in UpCoach. They did a roundtable with a few other owners on how they do pay, like raises and their pay scale. And Sheila's is designed around the 6 performance keys.
No. Okay. I will go find that.
Yes, definitely. Or ask Michelina, like whoever, to just get access to it, because it's a phenomenal conversation about how everyone's doing their pay scales. And it's something that I love also about the membership, the insider shares, like where you get to actually hear what other leaders are doing inside of their organization and what's working for them, right? And how to make that your own.
Yes, if we can just pause that for just 1 minute to say, that is the other thing from going to the conference. Like, I could honestly say, I went through something about 5 years ago at the center that was just demoralizing. It was just heartbreaking. It shouldn't have happened, but they just really, really cruel from a few staff members. And going to this conference, I was looking around, I'm like, oh, I'm not alone. Like, I'm hearing all these stories of like, oh yeah, these, and then it was able to kind of give us some separation. So it kind of took it from when you're by yourself and you go through something like that, you start to look inwardly and you're going, is it me? Is it me? Like, what's wrong with me? Like, and then when you go conference like that and you hear these other stories, you start to separate and realize that within the workforce that sometimes there are going to be these moments of toxicity that are going to, look like this. And it's not because of you. Certainly that you can look back and reflect on things you can do better. That's growth, sure. But it's not you. It's not about you. It's what this employee or employees did. And hearing other people respond with their same things made you able to separate and say, you know what, here we are here, and this is what we're dealing with. But it's not because of us. We just are in the position we have to respond to it.
Yes. Okay. So tell us a little bit about what your vision for the future is, maybe the next 6 to 12 months for your center.
6 to 12 months. I like it's a short time frame. I like that.
It is.
The next 6 to 12 months, I want to get really good systems in place. So we just need to establish a few things that are like, this is how it's done, and nope, this is how it's done. So there's a few areas that as we go through the school year, that's going to be really key, like just finalizing our onboarding, making it amazing, and then not having to touch it too much going forward from that. It's working on our calendar system to make sure that we know when everything's happening within the school year, and then we have the prep time frame ahead of time and who's doing it so it doesn't get missed or lost. So that's my main area of focus.
Yeah, that's fantastic. So I have one more question for you here as we wrap up this conversation, even though I have so many more things I'd love to jam with you on, but I want to be respectful of the time. So there's so many people that are listening to this, or different people throughout, their time and listening to the podcast that are considering joining schools of excellence, that are thinking about it, they're interested, they're, contemplating it. What would you tell someone who is considering joining the owners program?
I would tell them to ask themselves a question. Do they want to stay where they are in that exact moment? And if where they're at in that exact moment, is that what they want it to look like in the next 6 months, in the next year, in the next 5 years? If they are completely content with that picture and how it looks, you know what? Maybe it's not for them. But if they look at that and they go, you know what? I'm overwhelmed, or I don't know how to do this, or I wish I had people that understood me, or I wish I just had that person I could call, or I wish there was something in place that was best practice that I knew I could use and not have to go on 1,000 searches, then I would say you need to look into it. You need to have a conversation, because it could be game changing for you, because you could be in a whole different place from where you were at that moment, and that next year you could be in a completely different place, but it wasn't by accident. It was by intention. You said, I don't want to be here anymore. I don't want to be this person. I have the ability to change, and I have people that want to go with me to do it. And then it looks a little different the next year, the next 2 years down the road.
Ashriel, thank you so much for joining us here. Thank you for just really speaking truth to your story and your journey, and how you've really utilized the program, but also how you've just made such a big difference in your life. So I'm just honored to have been able to be a part of that. So thanks for sharing your story.
Thanks for having eye-catching hair and making this all happen. So appreciated.
Thanks so much for listening. Here's the thing. Every time that we listen to an inspirational story, to a inspirational just moment that we hear in someone else's life, and if something sparks inside of you, you're like, wow, that's inspiring, wow, that's incredible, it's not just about the takeaway that you hold on that inspiration, because inspiration is fleeting. It's about taking that moment of inspiration and saying, do I want to take action with it? What is going to motivate me to move forward? And if you have been listening to the podcast for any time now and you've appreciated our content, and I know so many people do, they go back, they re-listen to podcast episodes multiple times, throughout their car rides, their commutes, their, whatever it is that they're doing. If you have been curious or thinking about joining our Owners HQ program, our Directors Inner Circle for any time now, this is your sign that it's time for you to apply. Get on a call, fill out an application. You and I will chat. We'll talk about if this is a right fit for you. And I look forward to connecting with you. Make this year the year of transformation for you, your administrative team, your leaders, your staff, your family, your community. Everyone gets impacted by you up-leveling who you are as a leader.
If you are loving the Schools of Excellence podcast and have gotten any value out of it for your school, I would love if you can do two things for me. One, subscribe to the show so you never miss an episode. And two, can you please leave us a review? Reviews help other school leaders know that this is the place to learn how to build a school of excellence. And I would be so grateful if you can do that for us. Your help and support makes this show to be able to be listened by the thousands of other school leaders all around the world. Thanks so much for listening, for giving us your time and attention each and every week. And I appreciate that you have joined us.
If your accountant has ever told you to cut back on professional development or slash your teacher appreciation budget or your staff development budget just so you could stay afloat, or has told you, hey, you probably can't go invest in that program, please listen. The problem is not that you're spending too much money on your people or yourself or your investment or your support system. It's that your school has invisible money leaks that are draining your profit, leaks that no spreadsheet will ever catch or accountant. So I created the 6 money leaks of schools that show you the 6 core areas that schools lose money every single month without realizing it. If you close even one of them, your profits will start to soar without sacrificing your team. Go get it now and stop blaming the things that are actually building your school.